There's so many features, and there's a share button too. And we are live. Okay, good. All right. I'm just making sure that we are live in the group so that I can see your comments. So as you jump on, please say hi. Whether or not you're watching the live or the recording, go ahead and post your comments. Matt Rowe is part of the Minding Your Soul, not only the program, but the group. So we can always go back and answer the questions. So as people are jumping on right now, I just want to go over a couple reminders so that we know that tomorrow is day 5. So today's going to be the last day of homework, and I'll mention the homework again at the end. I'll mention all of this at the end as well. I'm going to do a live Q&A tomorrow. I'm going to do a Facebook room, and I'll post it in the group at what time, probably right after the workshop. So that this way, if you have any questions that are not easily answered in a comment, just jump in that room. I'll be there. You can ask me questions live. Today is day 4 of the Path to Healing workshop, and I love this day because we get to talk to Matt Rowe. He is our resident mindset coach inside Minding Your Soul, and he's also a very big part of the Path to Healing 4-month program. Remember, we always say we could give you all the healing information in the world, but unless your mind is on board, it's not going to work. We want to clear all the blocks, which means we want to address the body, the mind, and the soul. So I'm going to stop right here talking about Matt like he's not in the room. I'm going to bring him in big and say thank you, Matt, very much for being here with us.
Janine, you are amazing and such an inspiration for me and for so many out there that I want to thank you for all that you do. And thank you for having me here today.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Everyone always looks forward to Matt Rowe Day. I was actually just on the phone with a client a couple minutes ago, and she was experiencing some issues. I'm like, well, don't forget, we have Matt in about 20 minutes. So we're going to throw some Matt Rowe on that issue. She's like, that always works. I'm like, right? You get an issue, you throw some Matt Rowe on it, and it seems to be better. Strongly agreed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So that's what I want to give everybody, a little taste of Matt Rowe, because you have an incredible story of healing yourself of MS, and not only healing yourself of MS, but then you went and you did some crazy athletic physical shit to your body that everyone's like, how did you do that? So before we go into what you're going to do in the program and how you help people, can you talk a little bit about your story and how you got to this point?
Yeah, absolutely. In 2008, I was an All-American triathlete that paralyzed my right leg from the waist down. I couldn't pick myself up on my toes, and it was pretty bad. And and right at that time, it was an awareness of losing my identity of who I was. I went from being an athlete that had lost 85 pounds to do all these amazing things, and my ego was so built up, and within 10 seconds, lost it all. And so I ended up healing the paralyzed leg, finishing Ironman. And then once I did that and finished that, my ego took over again. And I went back into holding on tight to who I was. And I started to experience 25 to 30 stroke-like symptoms a day. And that's where the right side of my body would physically shut down, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't for about 10 seconds every time I stood up. I went on this journey of food as medicine and healed the strokes. It took about 4 months to get past that. But then once again, what did I do? I grabbed a hold of my ego again, and I didn't follow my heart and what I was being told. And I went and drove again as hard as I could. And then in 2017, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and given 6 months before I would be in a wheelchair. That is doing exactly what I was doing. And at that point, I surrendered, Janine, and I let go. And it took years of really going deep within myself, going through this journey and this storm, to eventually coming out the other end, still walking 5.5 years later. And now I'm on a pursuit to lift 1.5 million pounds this year. And no longer.
That just took my breath away. Did you see that? I'm like, oh my God.
And it's one of those things where I'm like, and I'm not doing it for ego. I'm doing it for love. And finding out that love and compassion for myself was a way that I remained symptom free. And then now I'm the founder of the Symptom Free MS Summit. I run a coaching business where I help individuals through their mindset as they're on this healing journey and on this healing path. And to say that I've never cried so much at work, where I've never loved myself so much, I've never loved all of my clients and fully being vulnerable. But when I see my clients step out of a wheelchair, when I just had a client tell me yesterday that she hasn't left the house since 2020 and she went to the beach walked on the beach. And I'm like, of course you did. And so this now has become my adage, is anybody that tells me something, I'm like, well, of course you did. I had a woman out of England that texted me this morning that said she climbed up the stairs to her dental office. And this is a woman that struggled walking out of her house. And so I'm like, yes, mindset is so important because, as you very well know, whether we think we can or think we can't, we're right.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. Whatever you think, that's exactly what's going to happen. And I'm finding it interesting. I actually just, when we name our businesses, we pick the name, we pick a word that means the most and what we had to work on the most.
Yes.
Think about it. Minding your soul. I had to mind the matters of my soul before I could heal. Identity of health. You talk a lot about your identity and how it was questioned and it was smeared on the floor sometimes and you had to pick it back up. For you, that's for everybody, but for you, that was the one thing that you really needed to focus on, is your identity and how you see yourself and how you present yourself to the world.
Yes.
And doesn't that all come from the self-talk?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I know you gave everyone an exercise to do. What was your first thought when you woke up in the morning?
Yes.
And usually that first thought starts to dictate our day. So, for example, Janine, if my identity is I have multiple sclerosis, I even hate saying that phrase right there. I was just diagnosed with it. But if I tell myself that, then my mindset when I wake up in the morning, let's say I feel a little tingling in my foot, I start telling myself, oh no, symptoms going to come. I'm going to have a hard time walking down those stairs. I'm going to have a hard time walking to the bathroom even. And then this mindset leads to our behavior. I'm frustrated when I wake up in the morning. My behavior is maybe I'm short with my husband, wife, partner, or my kids when they are running in the room saying, Mom, I need, Mom, Dad, I need. And so then my behavior is short-tempered and I'm angry. Now I have a vibration of anger coming out, of frustration coming out. And really that was dictated because I started to tell myself, I'm not going to be able to walk to the bathroom. And I start playing this scenario and how fast it starts to go. And that behavior leads to actions. Let's say I go downstairs and my partner has made pancakes. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just not feeling good today. I'm just going to eat pancakes with gluten in them. And I'm going to have syrup all over them, which is a refined sugar. And I start basically taking those types of actions. And then the result throughout my day is I'm not walking. I'm having a hard time. I'm not living in this area of possibility. I've already stopped it with that first thought in the day.
I stopped all the possibility from coming in with that first thought. Now, we're not saying that this is easy to do and you can just wake up tomorrow morning and be like, I feel great and I'm going to walk great today. It's a practice, which is why this is what you do for a living, is you help people get into the right mindset, because the first day you wake up and you're taught, okay, you want to say positive things. I am going to walk today. You're not going to believe it. It's going to sound like a made up story in your head at first, and that's normal, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. You brought something very important to the table. This is the work. This is practice. Anything I told myself, my subconscious mind takes over. I love my subconscious mind because my subconscious mind is making new cells, every second of every day. It's allowing me to breathe. It's allowing my heart to beat. It's allowing my liver to function. Think of everything that happens behind the scenes in this beautiful machine called the body. So then the subconscious mind is running all of that, but the subconscious mind does something else, Janine. It's that little voice, and I'm going to say it's the loud voice in your head that is always warning you of danger. I would attribute this voice to like a bad mother-in-law. Like, oh, you don't want to do that. Like, you got to be careful when you're on that highway, and don't drive too fast, and don't do this, and be careful of this thing out there. But the subconscious mind is on a repetitive reel because it's only worried about one thing: keeping you alive. That's it. It doesn't care if you're walking. It doesn't care if you're happy. It just cares that you're alive.
And it doesn't want you taking any risks, because risks are dangerous. We don't know what the outcome of that risk is going to be. That's
right. This is where change comes in. Anything we want to change, the subconscious mind's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
What are you doing? We haven't done that before. We don't know if it's safe. Get back to, stop that thought.
Right. And this is where I talk about the sphere of possibility. If everything you have in your life right now is in this circle, you're in the middle of that circle. So everything you have, Janine, right now, the red curtains behind you, the books, the plant, the everything you have is in that circle because you think it's possible.
Exactly. And what happens when we start touching the edge of that bubble? What happens? What's that little trigger feeling?
Yeah, it's at a level of you may feel uncomfortable. Oh, the subconscious mind comes in and says, what if it doesn't work? You know that's crap. You know that doesn't work, Janine. You know, and going back to the first thought you had in the morning, you might be touching the edge of that bubble, that edge of that circle, because anything we want is outside of it, doesn't drop into it. We expand our possibility to then include what we want on the outside of it. But every time we go to expand it, the subconscious mind comes in and says, oh no, don't do that. What if it doesn't work? Right. You know what? You've tried this before. That's my favorite one, is individuals will come into my group and you're like, yeah, I've done this before. Okay. And that's fine. And that's wonderful. But at what point does it get so uncomfortable that you go back to the way that it was?
Right into your comfort zone.
Because you go into your comfort zone. And what I'm going to challenge everybody is to expand that comfort zone and start to find the joy and love in being uncomfortable.
Right. That was very big for me. So big for me, because I took those red flags when I would touch the outside of that sphere, and I would feel the fear and the negative self-talk of, who do you think you are? You can't do that. No one's done this before, Janine. Why do you think that you'd be able to do that? Like, whoa, stop. It took me a while, but then I've recognized that voice is actually telling me that I am getting close to it. I can achieve it. I'm getting close. So if I just keep going, right, to expand, and what it feels like you're shaking and you're vibrating, and I don't know if I could do this. And then all of a sudden you step outside and you do it. Your sphere expands and you go, holy shit, I did it. Right. And then you get that feeling of, let's do it again.
Yeah, you start in that level. And so you pointed to something really important, is being aware. So the trigger was, I am uncomfortable. This isn't right. And the subconscious mind came in under that point and says, oh, careful, Janine. Don't do that. Don't walk down that road. But then you continued to press on this possibility, whether it was drinking celery juice, whether it was lemon water, any uncomfortable that came in, you started to tell yourself, I am healing. I am on this journey. I am getting better. And you started to pay attention to the breadcrumbs and the little things, but you kept walking through the storm of this.
Being uncomfortable with it, and being uncomfortable with thinking that I could do this when doctors and everyone around me told me I was crazy. Well, no one's done this before. No one's healed. Why do you think you can? And can we please tell everybody what you call the little voice in your head? Because I know you named it. I freaking love it.
Early on, when I started to become aware of this, I used to call him, and I still call him.
Let's just be clear for everybody. Let's set this up. So that voice that we talk about, right? That's just such a friggin' negative voice in our heads holding us back.
Mm-hmm.
Matt has named that voice.
So its name is Richard. So Richard would just warn me of stuff. I'm like, Richard, I'm good. I'm good. And I would talk to it in meditation in anything I did. And then Richard would get mean. It would get insistent. And I'm like, Dick, go sit on the curb. I don't need you right now. And one thing I found is the more I loved the voice, the quieter it became, where it's like, I love you, I hear you, and I understand your concern. But Dick, go sit on the curb over there and leave me alone right now. I'm working on something.
And so by raising your awareness to this is just your subconscious mind talking to you, trying to keep you safe. By knowing that, then you can look it in the eye and tell it to shut the fuck up, go sit down on the curb. Or, you can take Matt's approach to him and be like, listen, I love you and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It really depends on kind of like when you deal with your spouse. And whether you're in the mood to deal with your spouse or you're not in the mood to deal with your spouse and they're pissing you off, you could either go, listen, love, thank you very much. I appreciate it, but I'm going to do this. Or you could say, shut the fuck up. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah. Either approach, right, is going to get that voice to sit on the ground so that you can plow forward. Right. So there's practice to this. This is not something you just learn and take off running. It feels so unnatural. My feet are on the desk and I'm shaking the whole camera as I get excited. So let me back up. So there is a practice to this because in the beginning, when you tell whatever name you give that voice, listen, Dick, sit down, sit on the curb. I got this. It's going to sound crazy at first, but as you get better at doing it, all of a sudden you start to believe the little voice that you never paid attention to before because you were too busy listening to Richard, right? Once you put Richard aside and you can hear your inner self, your guidance, your intuition, then that comes up and you're like, I haven't listened to you in a while. What do you have to say? What's going on in there?
And that voice is love. Yeah. That voice comes in with such grace and compassion and inspiration, and it'll come in with moments of intuition where it's like, you should try this. What do you think about this? And it's really that supportive voice, but you said it very well. It is so quiet that we almost have to invite it.
Exactly. It's like the person in the back of the classroom who needs to be asked to speak up. Then they have so much to say. But it's those arrogant people right in the front who are so loud, the quiet people never get a chance to talk.
Yeah, I love that analogy. That's very, very well said. So as we wake this voice up, it is now guiding us with that compassion and love and grace that we need during this period while we're healing.
Right.
So we may then wake up in the morning and think about something. Today is great. I am walking beautifully in balance today.
Even if you're not, that's the key. Even if you're not, you start saying these words. You start saying what you want to be feeling, what you want to be saying to yourself when you wake up.
Yes. Right now, you have a new body than when you have new cells, you have a new body, you have new parts of your body right now than when you woke up this morning. You are mass duplicating cells all the time. But inside that cell is an atom. Inside that atom is nothing. It's just energy inside that atom. This is proven. Einstein, you look at Dr. Joe Dispenza, you look at all these individuals around the planet, inside that atom is nothing and it's energy. So are you mass duplicating yourselves off of anger, frustration, fear, and worry? Or are you mass duplicating cells off of love, joy, and possibility?
How much does this tie in, guys? I did not know how much science we were going to be talking this week during workshop week. We talked about superheroes yesterday and how every cell in our body is constantly duplicating, right? So you have healthy cells that are duplicating and you have unhealthy cells called free radicals that are duplicating. And we talked about the electrons and the protons, and inside of those, that's the atom. And inside the atom is the nothing, the energy.
Yeah.
Right? So is that producing a positive energy or a negative energy? It all goes back to what you fuel inside your body, right? That's one part of it. And then what do you fuel up here? What are the thoughts that you are allowing in, and where the thoughts, and I'll tell you what, it is hard in the beginning when you are used to thinking the same thing over and over again. That's called a pattern, right? And we have to interrupt that pattern, because we wake up, we do, what did Joe Dispenza say? I think, I forget the number, but it's something like over 80% of our thoughts are just recycled from the day before. And we're constantly, was that right?
Well, let me share a stat with you. 93% of your thoughts every day, Janine, are subconscious. You're not aware of them.
Is that crazy?
They just come in. 93%. And this is actually keeps us alive. I mean, can you imagine if you had to consciously think about beating your heart?
Oh, exactly. You'd have time to do nothing else.
Of exhaustion, because you'd always have to think about this stuff. If you actually always had to think about these moments, and we can run a really fun exercise where I can show you how this works in your today, right now, happening today. And we'll do that next. But 93% of your thoughts are subconscious. And so that gives us 7% of our thoughts are left for conscious thinking.
That's it, 7%, and we feel like we're going crazy with just that 7%.
So do you want me to share you? 80% of those thoughts are negative.
80% of the 7% are negative.
Right.
And then we wonder why we can't get anything done in a day, and we're constantly going like in a downward spiral. This shit isn't our fault, guys. It's not our fault. This is what just happens to humans, but we can do something about it. We absolutely can.
Absolutely.
That's why we bring that in.
So let's run a quick exercise real quick. I want to show everybody how this works. So everybody that's on right now, I want you to pull out a piece of paper. Just have a piece of paper and a pencil in front of you. And I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to do that.
I was supposed to make you big and me small. I messed up. Let me go back.
That's okay. Don't worry about it one bit. So 30 seconds. Okay. So are you guys ready? So you have a pen in your hand. You have a piece of paper. And what I want you to do is I want you to write down the numbers that I call out. And then at that point, I'm going to ask you for an item. Write that item down. More numbers, item. And then we'll finish up.
So we're writing down the numbers that you say as you say them.
Yes, as I say them. Okay, ready, Janine?
Go.
Okay. 7, 15, 84, 96, 32, 104, 1, 17, 52, 86, 97, 103, 64, 67, 85, 93, 42, 72, 85, 96. Write a color down. 17, 15, 18, 16, 32, 84, 96, 42, 93, 37, 1, 64, 72. Write down a piece of furniture. 72, 82, 92, 68, 73, 43, 96. Stop.
I kept up until the end and I missed like 3 numbers in there. Okay. So, woo! Okay. I need a drink of water after that. Yeah, I'm good. Go ahead.
Exactly. So you actually started to hold your breath. That at the very end you went, whew, you had to breathe out because you are frantically trying to write all these numbers down.
Yeah, I was trying to appear like I wasn't frantic either since I'm on camera.
Now, I know something happened. You know what? You're competitive. As human beings, we're competitive.
I'm a Scorpio and I'm Italian and I'm Sicilian. Horrible.
Every number written down, even though I never asked you to get them all accurate.
Ha! You did it.
I never asked you to make sure that you had the most numbers written down. I never said that I was going to check if you had the numbers correct.
You did it.
No,
I just took that upon myself.
We do is in our minds.
I just saw that. Did you see that?
I wrote plate for furniture, and that's fine. Okay, so when I asked you for a color, so now if I'm in a big audience and I do this exercise, I ask everybody to raise their hand. So raise your hand up if you're just basically be aware of. I am going to say something, and if I say that, you have to take your hand down. Okay. If you wrote down nothing at all, it happens. You have to take your hand down.
I wrote
If
something
you
down.
wrote down a color, physically the words a color, you have to take your hand down. Yeah, I've had individuals do that. If you wrote down blue, red, yellow, green, pink, black, green, yellow, purple, I'm thinking all the primary colors. So what happens is at this point, anybody that still has their hand up, I would ask you the question, is that your favorite color? Because you're basically, what's happening inside your mind is when I put you white, there you go. So is white in front of you. So you could be looking at a white wall right now in front of you. What you didn't give me was mauve, unless mauve was your favorite color. The forest of the green. You gave me primary colors. And when did we learn primary colors? We learned them in grade school. And so what happens is our mind is basically driven on what is known. And this comes from our basal ganglia, part of our brain, where long-term, yeah, okay, so blue. Somebody put blue. Yeah, so that's what I would put is blue. Under a moment of stress, we do what is known. And all I did was put you under a minor amount of stress by writing numbers down.
It was a lot of stress.
A lot of stress. And you're writing them as fast as you can. And that's it. Is in this moment, I'm asking you to do something very quick. So where this got developed was thousands of years ago. Because imagine you stepped out of your dwelling 1,000 years, like 5,000 years ago, because we haven't evolved in 5,000 years. I'm still the same biological being. So, yeah, but you wrote red down. I'm going to answer questions as they come in. You wrote red down because that's a primary. And I did. I believe I said red. If I didn't, I meant to say all primary colors. I got to just put this up on my board, all of them. So really with these primary colors, so I'm going to go back 5,000 years ago, you haven't evolved. So if you stepped out of your dwelling and you saw a tiger in front of you, you would panic. You would want to fight the tiger, run from the tiger, or hide from the tiger. Fight, flight, freeze. And so this is what happens in a moment of stress. I put you guys under a minor amount of stress with just numbers being called out, but your body reacted exactly the same way as if a tiger was in front of you. You didn't think about the tiger. You didn't engage your prefrontal cortex where loving, logical thought comes from. This is why you're a genius 15 minutes after an argument, Janine.
Isn't that the truth? Oh, I should have said that. Why didn't I say that?
Oh, God, so well said. It's like, oh, my gosh. Oh, that would have gotten him.
I would have been so funny. I would have got him right back. Yeah.
And so what happens is under that minor amount of stress, we didn't engage our prefrontal cortex where this logical thought comes in. We don't think about the tiger. We don't sit there and say, wow, that's a beautiful tiger. I wish I could ride it. Could I ride it over to my buddy's dwelling? That would be so much fun. I wonder if I can help it. No, if you had those thoughts, you would be dead. So those thoughts, that engagement of your prefrontal cortex never was activated. So under this minor amount of stress with just numbers, I activated your adrenal system. So you're probably, I see my hands didn't like this, slow stress, major. Yes. And what you probably felt was your hands tingling. Your body is expressing more blood flow to your extremities to get you to run faster, to fight the tiger, or do whatever it is. But it also needs to cloud your prefrontal cortex. And that's when cortisol comes in. Cortisol affects our clarity of thought and our prefrontal cortex. So we react very quickly to danger. Now, this is just numbers, and I got that same reaction. So it pulls information at that time from a known source, long-term practiced memory. And what colors did you give me? You gave me primary. So then I asked you for a piece of furniture. Once again, you either wrote down the words, a piece of furniture, or you didn't write down anything at all, you ran from it, you froze, or under this premise, you gave me what is known: chair, bed, table, couch. Somebody wrote plate.
Right.
Yeah, I would ask, is there a plate sitting next to you right now? You just basically said, okay, I need to react very quickly. I'm just going to give you what I know, what top of mind under this. But this is what happens when we get under stress. Let's say we wake up in the morning and our legs are tingly. Let's say we wake up in the morning and we can't feel the ground underneath our feet. We have stress that comes up. I'm not going, and then we'll say the words, I am not going to be able to walk to the bathroom. I am not going to do this. And that brings up this behavior of stress and anger. And anytime there's stress, there's a symptom. But now that you are aware of this, you can make a different choice. So if I ran through this exercise again with all of you, it wouldn't work. You would know. You would be like, oh, I'm not going to write the numbers down.
I would pick chartreuse and lounge chair.
So
I would be very creative.
You would get creative, but you had to think about lounge chair.
I did. It's still under complete lack of stress.
Yes, I want lounge chair. Yes, I want a lounge chair. And so with this, just by being aware of what I did with the exercise allowed you to make a different choice. So really through that awareness that you have, this allows you to engage a different part of your brain. This allows you to not have adrenaline release into your system because you're aware of it, and really keep your prefrontal cortex engaged where logical, loving thought comes from. That little voice in the back of your head that encourages you. But remember, your basal ganglia is in charge of long-term memory and practice thought. But I love this is because if it is in charge of storing practice thought, think of when you drive, Janine, and somebody slams their brakes on in front of you, what do? Do you think about how bright those red lights are? Or do you just
I slam on my brakes.
Yeah, you reach over, hit the brake, and then you do something else. You cuss them out or you give them the finger. But if I retrain that response, maybe I start thinking about, I hope the person that they're rushing to is okay. I start to go loving thought. So when I first started to learn this years ago, so well before I was diagnosed, I was teaching emotional intelligence and neuro-linguistic programming to individuals. And so I was curious about it. Can I retrain the basal ganglia? So I didn't want to give the finger anymore, drop the F-bomb when somebody cut me off, because I have little kids, they're in the back seat. This is not what I wanted to do. So under that premise, I wanted to blow them a kiss. I thought of the most ridiculous thing that I could do. And so now if I get cut off on the road, I blow you a kiss, Janine.
Did everyone just have that mental image in their head of Matt Rowe in a car going like this? Because I did. I think we all did that.
But with that, I didn't have to physically do it. It's not like I was driving down the road, like blowing kisses.
This is what we're picturing.
Yeah. I mentally could do it. So what's the beautiful part about the brain and the mind is it doesn't know the difference between you physically doing it and you imagining it.
Oh, that's right.
So you said that even if you're not walking today, can you wake up in the morning and imagine walking? I want you to imagine it.
You know, you said you did some NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I came across that a long time ago, I was so interested in the thought that I could retrain my brain, because I thought I was just a victim of, bad programming, bad thoughts, and there's nothing I could do. And then I learned you could interrupt the pattern. And so when I would wake up in the morning, I would always go, fuck. Mm-hmm. Every time the alarm went off, fuck. Because I was already tired. And when you're dealing with the symptoms of MS, you know that when you have fatigue, sleep doesn't help. Sleep doesn't help anything. You wake up, either more tired or just as tired as you were when you went to sleep. So I would wake up and go, fuck, I'm so fucking tired. And then the thoughts would start and thinking about everything that I had to do in the day and how it was going to struggle and why me. And so when I learned about the NLP and I learned I had to interrupt that pattern, where I would wake up in my bed, I put on the ceiling, not the ceiling, but right above the wall where it meets the ceiling, the words, huge words, I printed them out. I am healthy. Mm-hmm. And so when I would open my eyes and say, fuck, and then I'd be like, I am healthy. And that's how it started, with the attitude first. I am healthy. Fine. I'm fucking healthy. You know, and then over time it was, I am healthy. Yeah, I am healthy. I am going to rock this fucking day. And of course the F-bombs were still coming until there was a lot more love later when I finally started seeing the evidence of that different way of thinking. Then I'd wake up and be so grateful for that sign, the reminder of I'm healthy. I am healthy and I'm going to have a great day. And no matter what happens, it's going to be okay. And did you see how like my voice got softer in it? Because at first I was angry, but I still said it. Yeah. And I just kept going with it. So I need being the visual learner, I need those visual reminders to not be so cynical about my health and that it was going to happen.
And I love the affirmation that you made. I am healthy.
Fucking healthy, but
I'm fucking healthy. Like this is just, and whatever it is for you, these affirmations, and I love how you wrote it in the present tense. It's not I am going to be healthy.
No,
because you're always going to be headed there. I am healthy right now, in the present moment of today. Whether I am or not, because that'll start to lead to maybe a level of your behavior is of possibility. You laughed a little bit more, even if it was just a little bit, and you started to walk down that road in this possibility. Maybe your actions changed. Maybe you went for your celery juice and you were at 8 ounces of celery juice and you're like, you know what? I'm going to do 12 today.
Yeah, because at 8 ounces, you're like, all right, I'm done. I don't want to drink this anymore. And you're like, no, you know what? I'm going to do it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. When you look at all these levels, you're starting to engage the placebo effect. Why is the placebo effect 40% successful? So when you're looking at MS drugs today, have a 27% success rate, and I've even read where it's less than that, but the placebo is 40. You're saying the sugar pill, I could actually do better off of that because my mind, my thoughts started to change myself biologically.
Right, because you take that placebo, not knowing it's a placebo, and you go, I'm gonna heal now. Now I'm gonna heal. I'm gonna feel better, and it's amazing how you're not taking anything except for your positive thoughts. I'm going to heal. This is working, and it's a placebo. And because I'm one of those people who I wasn't sure if what I did to heal myself was going to work for other people, because I'm the kind of person where if you give me a sugar pill and say you're going to grow a second nose, I'd be the person walking around with 2 noses, right?
Yep. Because you believe it. You're being it. Because this belief that we have. So we believe, like, let's say right now people are sitting there going, okay, I believe this would work. This puts you on a bridge of knowing. Knowing are the actions, like drinking celery juice, lemon water, joining Path to Healing, like really in this knowing phase. It's the work. It's being aware of the thoughts when they come in. But just like that sign you had on your bed, at first you were in knowing. You're like, fuck, I'm tired. Okay.
I am healthy. All right. I'm healthy.
I'm healthy. I am healed. I am healing. And whether you believe it or not, you just keep saying it. But by practicing that over and over and over again, you entered a state of being.
And I started seeing things, and things fell into my path that I'm not sure if they would have before. When I changed, it's like the car analogy. Do you give the car analogy when you're like decide to buy a new car and all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere?
The reticulated activating system? Yes.
You say things so much better. So to explain what happened when I said to myself, I am healthy. Like, why did I start seeing different avenues to take to get healthy? Why did people start coming in my life that could give me information that was going to further my journey?
I would say that you flipped your energy. So what you guys learned from Catherine Rose yesterday is when you're looking at this internal energy that's within us, my vibration. So I'd love, I'm not going to use this analogy because it involves my ex-wife, but really
I talk about my ex-husband all the time on here.
Is if I know she would leave the house and say, oh, I hate this drive because I always get cut off on the road. Every time she gets cut off on the road, I would do the same drive and I never got cut off. Mm-hmm. I didn't drive any different. I went at exactly the same time. I didn't have people cut me off. So what happens is vibrationally, we're putting out a vibration. If we are energy centers, we have a vibration. Everything around us is vibrating. Those books behind you are vibrating, Janine. They've proven it at MIT. And so really the foods that we eat are vibrating. They're alive. Well, we're alive and we vibrate. And so you can go to the Heart Map Institute and they can actually test this vibrational level coming from your heart. So if we are vibrating at anger, we are given more opportunities to be angry, to be frustrated, to have, and that might be symptoms, to be stressed about certain things. Remember, stress equals symptoms. So then if we start vibrating differently with love and joy and just being conscious of this, then all of a sudden we start to attract more love and joy into our lives. Mm-hmm. And we're emitting these pieces that come out of us, but this all comes from our thoughts. Because whether we think we can or think we can't, we're right.
And that's how the day is going to go. Because I'll tell you what, everyone here watching you right now, listening to you, is going, yeah, he's definitely been cut off before. He just didn't know it. Like, his ex-wife isn't the only one being cut off. You just didn't even realize it or pay attention to it or even see it, because you're seeing something different now because you're operating from a different energy. It's like he always says I love the car analogy. You know, when you decide you're going to buy a new car and you haven't seen it before on the road. Right. But I'm like, I'm going to buy that car. That's a really cool car. And then you get in the car and you start driving it. And you're like, everyone has this freaking car. How did I not notice this before? They're everywhere.
And we start attracting those things into our lives. But I believe it's on the state of we are more aware.
Aware, yeah.
We are more, those same cars may have been driven past you every day. But until we said, I want that car, were we not aware of it? Or we
didn't even notice them.
So think about this from the state of healing. I am healed. Then maybe we're aware of 3 more steps we took that day. Right. Maybe we're aware of when we woke up in the morning, we feel a little bit better. Maybe we're aware of these moments when we are tired and we sleep and we tell ourselves, I am sleeping. Mm-hmm. I am sleeping all night. Now, I saw a comment come in that said, if you sleep, exclamation point. So on that side is, do you believe that you're not going to sleep that night? Because your wish is my command. It will start to happen. You'll start to create things within your life that basically align, or you're just being aware of those things that align to this aspect of not sleeping. So I would just challenge you is, and it takes practice, is before you go to bed, tell yourself, I am sleeping. I'm sleeping for 8 hours tonight.
Fall asleep saying that repeatedly.
Mm-hmm. And you start maybe breathe differently. And you start breathing, because as a society, we do not breathe, Janine. You're like, oh, that's crazy. I'm alive. I breathed today. Well, yes, of course you did. But did you breathe deeply? Just like at the end of the exercise, what'd you do? You went, and you want to exhale. And so really on that, but this all takes practice. So you are now becoming masters at your mindset. But with that, just like any sport or anything that we do, it takes practice. When I learned to play guitar, I had to practice it. 15 minutes a day, every day, whether I was bad at it or not. And I would screw up the song or whether I did it. But I kept practicing and I kept telling myself, you know what? I am going to play. I am playing this song. I am playing. And then all of a sudden I started to play a little bit better. Then I got through an entire song and I was like, oh, I can play guitar.
Well, what song? Now you have to share it.
The one I'm playing right now is Jackaroo by the Chieftains. It's an Irish ballad.
I was going to say, is that on the radio?
No. It's an Irish ballad. It's an old Irish ballad. And I play with it. I finger pick it. And then, yeah. So
yeah, you're going to have to do that on camera one of these days. This is why we have Matt in the Path to Healing group every other week, because you need this. This is what we need. It's such a great reminder. Like awareness, like bringing stuff up for our awareness. We've been trying to bring up our awareness all week in workshop week. Like, how many ounces of water did you drink today? And a lot of people are like, wow, you know what? When I think about it, I didn't drink a lot. How many fruits and vegetables did you eat? Oh, well, actually, you guys saw the thread on that, right? There's a lot of fruit and vegetable eating going on in this group, which was free. I commented, I'm like, this is amazing. It's bringing up our awareness. Now, Matt, we got to tell the story of the client that we talked to. I'm going to jog your memory right now. Do you remember when she got on the call and she's like, I'm not feeling so good. I'm sick again. I can't believe I don't feel good. I don't know what's going on. And then you're like, well, how's your day? How's your week been? And then she told the story of Costco and the electric chair losing battery, and she had to push it through the entire Costco all the way back.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
She was never able to do that before. So she pushed the electric wheelchair that died. She pushed it all the way through Costco back to where it goes, because she's a sweet woman. And this is what she does. And then the next day she was so sore and so tired. And Matt goes, well, you just told me what you did yesterday. Have you ever done that before? She's like, no, it was really hard too. And you were able to do it? She's like, yeah. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. I do. You're in training. So think about it, is if you haven't walked for a year, when I paralyzed my leg, 4 months, I lost 90% of the muscle mass out of my right leg. So it takes a matter of months to lose muscle. So then if you start walking again, let's say you've been in a chair and you walk around like her pushing this cart. She's never done it. I mean,
core muscles.
She's getting her muscles retrained for it. And of course, tomorrow she is going to be tired.
And
I don't care. I've run 7 marathons. Every time I trained for them, there were training days when I couldn't get up. I was so tired. I didn't have symptoms of multiple sclerosis. I was not diagnosed at that point. But still, I was training the muscle. So if you're walking again and you haven't walked in a while, offer yourself some compassion that you are training.
Once Matt brought up her awareness of or jogged her memory of what she just did the prior day, she was so elated. She's like, my God, I didn't even realize that. He's like, Mary, here you are. Now you've got a completely different story in your head. 5 minutes ago, it was, I'm sick. I'm not healing. I don't know what's wrong with me. And now it's, I'm healing. I'm doing things I never did before. My body is sore because I'm using it for the first time. Exactly. So it's all about bringing up the awareness again, which is why we have Matt in the 4-month program every other week, because we need reminders. Everybody needs reminders. Matt, I'm sure you still have your coaches. I have my coaches reminding us of the things that we think we should know by now, right?
Mm-hmm. But absolutely. And it's not saying that because I teach this, I've got this beautiful mindset all the time. Oh no, I still go through my moments because I'm stretching this sphere of possibility. And every time I touch on the edge of this, what is my mind going to do? The subconscious mind comes in and goes, whoa, wait a second, don't do it. At some point, like you said, Janine, you start to look forward to being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Being uncomfortable means growth. Being uncomfortable means I'm going to walk a little bit farther. I know when I was first diagnosed, Janine, I could walk 800 steps. That was it. I remember going on a hike with my son and my father, and it was 800 steps. I would count them, and I'd have to sit on the ground, or I'd have to sit for like 20 minutes, get everything reworking again, and then I could walk another 800 steps. Frustrating. Recently, I went to a couple of concerts and I had to walk 2 miles into the concert because the parking lot was busy. Now, when I go to the grocery store, I park as far away as I can because my goal is to get 10,000 steps and above, and I stopped counting them. It was really this knowing, oh, of course I'm going to do that.
Of course.
I am doing that. Like,
and that took years of training, years of building up the evidence in our minds that it is possible. And it starts with that one small thing that you can do tomorrow morning when you wake up and just change that thought. And you don't, no, I hate to say, I almost said don't expect miracles. You absolutely should expect miracles. But when you're just starting out, just start small and just allow yourself to notice what you notice. Just be more aware of your thinking and how it might be affecting the actions and how you feel.
Yeah, and allow the healing to come in. Most of us stop the healing. And so when I look at this, is most of us are grabbing on to our diagnosis with death grip. I am this, and we're holding on to it with the death grip there's a reason out there. And it's usually a past subconscious pattern in our minds, and we hold on to it. And what I'm going to encourage you to do is surrender to it, not give up.
It feels like giving up, though. When you say surrender, that was always my trigger word. You want me to surrender? I will never surrender. And there was so much anger behind that. I felt like surrendering was giving up. How do you see surrendering? How do you describe it?
Surrendering is receiving. I'm going to receive the celery juice. Like when I surrender to the celery juice, I'm just using that as an example. When I take that drink of celery juice, I'm imagining in my mind, I'm thinking about every time that taste hits my tongue, I can feel the cells in my body start to dance with joy. Oh, yes, you are you are healing. This is a beautiful step. A positive thought comes in. I am healed. I am healing. And people ask me, is it I am healed or I am healing? Whatever you believe.
Whatever works for you.
Whatever works for you, whatever you believe. Now, I want you to get to I am healed. But I am healing may be a step on that journey. But really, when we surrender to it, we're not giving up. We're allowing this healthy food, the energy from this food, this energy from myself and my heart and my compassion and my love to enter in, changing my vibration. Because when we start to vibrate with love, that is when healing starts to multiply, and we're open to the surprises that come. We're aware of the breadcrumbs. Oh man, holy cow, I slept last night. I know, when the person talking about sleeping, I'm going to go back to that, this is a common situation is individuals like, well, I didn't sleep. And it becomes a perpetual wheel. I don't sleep very well. I wake up frustrated. I wake up angry. I don't eat things. And the result is I don't feel good. And then I don't sleep well. And it just continues down this pattern. But when we start to tell ourselves, I am sleeping with ease. I am receiving 8 hours of sleep tonight, and I love it. And we just start telling ourselves that. At first, it may not feel that way. It may not go that way. But then, let's say very quickly, we sleep. I remember the individual is like, oh, nothing's changed. And then you start asking her questions. How is your sleeping? Oh, it's gotten better. Yeah. How do you feel? How's your walking? Oh, I walked farther today. And then with that, it's just that awareness this is why we have coaches in our life, is because the coach can see something that our subconscious mind does not want to see. Can sit there and say, oh, try this. Let's walk this way. Making you aware of how incredible you are to help you take another step, to go a little bit farther, to be who you are meant to be, the beautiful self that you are. This is why I do a Facebook Live Monday through Friday at 4:00 every day, is to encourage, to inspire, because under that premise, this is when individuals may enter into that. Like I mentioned, the woman from England. where she sat there when she first started listening to just my Facebook lives. She's like, she would tell me how she couldn't leave the house, how she had everything in her life, but this was the last thing and she couldn't do it. And she kept telling me how she couldn't. This morning, she sent me a text and said she climbed the stairs to the dentist's office. And the dentist's office felt so terrible that they didn't get her a ground floor appointment. But she's told that, like, she was with her brother, and she told her brother, no, I am doing this. She did it.
I am doing this.
I am is such a powerful statement. So if we think about this, when we write our affirmations, I am, I know, I let. Another way for I let is I allow healing to come into my body.
Oh, wait, but I don't want to miss that. Please tell us how to get on your Facebook Lives. Because Matt does the same premise over in his group. So there's so much free information that you can jump on and listen to his voice like this, because it's mesmerizing, is it not? Before you say that, Matt, did you give any more thought to my idea, my business idea? Do you remember what it was? So a couple weeks ago in the 4-month program, one of our coaching calls, I said, Matt, like, we're all mesmerized by his voice, right? We're all just sitting there like, yes, yes, yes. So I said, I'm like, Matt, I got a great business idea for you. You need to record snippets of your voice, right? And they're going to be personalized. So like I could go on my phone and just hit play and I hear, Janine, this is Matt. You can absolutely do this. I don't know what you were thinking before, but you are going to kick ass. You absolutely need to come up with that app.
Actually, funny you say that. I've actually thought about doing something like that, and I'm starting slow, a different way. But yes, when we look at this, we'll need encouragement inside of our lives.
Yeah, we do. And very few of us get that opportunity to hear encouragement.
That support. And so some of us get beaten down. Get beaten down by our children, get beaten down by ourselves, get beaten down by our families, because we're picking something different. And we have to remember our families, our loved ones, they have fear too. We dropped a bomb on them with this diagnosis. And they'll go on Google, Dr. Google, and type in symptoms of MS, and this is what they're going to read on all the symptoms. But you've made the decision, I'm going to defy this. I'm going to make a different choice. And so they follow the path to healing. They follow Janine Troutman. They go a different
And sometimes
way.
they have to stand alone in doing that. I have many clients who in the beginning were completely alone, and their family and their husbands and their kids are telling them this isn't going to work. And then it begins to work. And they had to stand alone for quite a while before the family got on board with them.
But in there becomes part of the journey. Is in this journey, we're walking through that storm. We are aware of it. We're like, no, I'm picking a different way. I'm going to do this way for me. And at the end of this storm is the beautiful you that you are. Everything that you want in your life is possible.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't tell me that it's not possible.
There's always a way for every single thing. And I feel like if I could do it, anybody could do it. Right?
Amen.
I mean, did any doctor ever tell you that you would be able to heal your body and run another marathon, and do a triathlon?
Yeah. Oh, hell.
Did any doctor say, yeah, sure? No, they told you were going to be in a wheelchair in 6 months and just get used to it. Get used to that idea.
They kind of scoffed at it a little bit.
Right.
And they're like, well, there's no data and science, because they're all working off of science, because doctors fix the machine, the body. But we're still figuring out. I mean, you look at the advances in neuroscience over just the last 20 years. So if you went to a doctor that was trained 20 years ago, they may not have been aware of this science that's coming out, that you actually can create new brain cells. I remember when I grew up, they're like, oh, don't kill all the brain cells because you can't make any more.
No, you're born with what you have and you can't make more. I remember learning that too.
And that's 100% disproven now.
100% wrong.
Is 100% wrong. You create new nerves. You can create new nerves that have a myelin sheath. You can create a new neural pathway to tap into a new habit, to walk. You have 1 trillion neural pathways you can choose from.
Your body doesn't just use that one. And we talked about this, maybe it was yesterday too. Remember when we talked about detours? Your body can take a detour around the scar because it can take plan B, plan C, plan D. That not only works in your body on the physical level, but it also works on the emotional and the mental level. You can create new pathways. So when you wake up and you're used to saying, life sucks, this is going to be hard today, that's a pathway that you've created as a deep, literal deep groove.
Yep.
And to create a new groove, you got to work at it because it's so much easier to go in through the groove that you've been in for years. So that's why it's work. And that's why it doesn't sound right in the beginning until you start really, it takes a lot of energy to do that, to create that new groove. Just like it takes a lot of energy and resources, which is why we have to flood our bodies with superheroes to make that detour that eventually becomes, remember we talked about this, the primary route. Same thing in your brain. It's a regular route. You use the detour, right? I am healthy. I am healed. I am going to have an awesome freaking day today. You make that new one, and that eventually becomes the primary route. It all works the same, the body, the mind, and the soul. The more we put these pieces together, the faster healing comes up, and we feel so amazing. So, Matt, I cut you off before. Go ahead. No, I cut you off before. There was a question about the Facebook Lives, and I want to make sure we give everybody all of the resources, just in case they're not in the path to healing and they don't get you, even if they do get you twice a month in the path to healing. Your Facebook Lives are free, and they're every
day, Monday through Friday.
Every day.
As long as I'm at a computer or in technology, I shoot a Facebook Live every day, and I talk about a different topic every day. It is in the Symptom Free MS Summit group.
There you go.
So just go to just type in Symptom Free MS Summit, or look at me or find me on Facebook, Matt Rowe, and you can ask me and I'll invite you to it.
And we'll put the links in the comments as soon as we get off here.
Yes. And so just join that group. I put a lot of fun, interesting stuff in there. Janine's going to be in there. Like all of this type of things is everything we can do to help ourselves, to encourage ourselves, because we're doing something that the doctors said is impossible to do.
Yeah, and they still say is impossible to do. So Matt here is giving you a resource that you can go to every day and just be reminded. Oh, yeah, I needed to hear that today. I needed that today. Every single day. There are a ton of free resources inside Matt's group. Plus, somebody is going to win a one-on-one session with you tomorrow. We're announcing the winner.
Awesome. I would love that. It'd be so much fun.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. That's going to be a great prize. So make sure the more times you answer the homework this week, the more entries you get into the, it's literally going to be a hat or a bowl of all the paper comments that I cut out from the homework thread. We're going to do that drawing tomorrow. So Matt's part of the Path to Healing group because we need to address the body, the mind, and the soul when we're healing anything. So he's in there every other week. We're doing exercises like we did today. That was fun, a little stressful, but fun and enlightening. So we're doing things like that every other week. And then you have Matt, you can go one-on-one with Matt, or you can just go into the group and get those resources every single day, those little reminders. And I'm telling you, hopefully soon he'll be working on that app where you can press a button and hear, yes, Janine, you are doing a great job. You keep doing that. I'm proud of you. Yeah, it's you have such a mesmerizing voice. You really are that app is going to fly. I'll endorse it.
Oh, wonderful. And so it's possible. You are living proof, Janine.
Yeah.
This
and so are you.
Possible.
Yep.
That we just have to allow possibility to enter into our bodies.
Right.
We block it with our thoughts.
Yeah, we're blocking it. Healing wants to happen. Healing wants to come in, and we're blocking it unconsciously. It's Richard who comes up, right, and says, you can't do that. What are you thinking? That's what's blocking it. We have to just retrain our brains. And no, it's not easy. Sometimes it is, but it's not always easy. This is work. It's work to get up and drink your friggin' lemon juice or lemon water and your celery juice and your heavy metal detox smoothie. And then you got to do these stupid affirmations. And then I got to drink my stupid celery juice. Yeah, that's the attitude you might have in the beginning. But you keep at it and you keep doing it. And you use a community of people who are doing the same thing, who can identify with you, and you tap into those free resources that are all around you, because everyone who has healed themselves, who are on the other side of healing, They want you to feel this. And we will drag you along if you need us to. We give you everything that you possibly need to heal yourself and to give you that evidence that it is possible. More stories that we bring to you. It is possible. It's not just me and Matt. There's so many people out there.
Yep. Oh, so beautifully said, Janine.
Oh, thank you.
It. So thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, thank you for being a part of the group. Thank you for being a part of Path to Healing. It is so imperative that we address all of these layers, and you are the absolute most perfect person to do it. Everyone looks forward to Thursdays with Matt. So hopefully we'll have a nice big group. We're starting the new group October 3rd. You guys, the enrollment is open until October 2nd. Let's say we'll shut it down the day before. So Matt's going to be in there every other week. And tomorrow, but don't sign up until tomorrow, because someone's going to win 50% off the Path to Healing group. Someone's going to win a free session with Matt Rowe. And then someone's going to win a chakra clearing with Catherine Rose. So that's going to be tomorrow. We're going to do a quick review. We're going to announce the winners. And then we're going to go into a Facebook room and do a Q&A. So that's all on the agenda for tomorrow. Matt, thank you very much for being here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Janine. It has been a pleasure.
All right. We will see you soon. We'll see you in the next Facebook Live.
All right. Sounds good.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining.
See you guys.